Hi there, this is Toby from Toby's Urban Sketch, and today I'm going to do another of my little 10-minute challenges. The reference today is actually one that I put up called #DrawToby'sSTP, which is a STP stunt pancreas. It's a photo I took when I got off my bike cycling home from work one day, and it's of the big clock tower which makes up part of the St Pancras building. Anyway, it's an interesting photo, mainly I think because of the perspective and the sort of vast number of windows which are offsetting this otherwise really interesting clock in the middle. I have no idea how I'm going to manage this in 10 minutes, but obviously it's going to involve a huge amount of simplification, and I'm very interested to see where we end up. I'm actually going to I had a 0.5mm pen in my hand there. I think I'm going to use a Winsor Newton 0.3. It's quite the Winsor Newton ones are quite thin, so it's almost like using a 0.1 or a 0.2 from lots of other brands. And just doing a time check. Let's see how we go. So I'm going to start in the middle with the actual tower, because that's going to set the tone and then sort of certainly the size of everything. And I want a certain level of detail to it. Detail doesn't mean accuracy. It means bringing out things which I find interesting. The other obvious thing in the middle here is a nice tree. So let's get that shape in. Sort of got overlapping elements and then two big things coming down. And then there's a car, which doesn't have to be a feature, but since it's there, we just get those shapes in. I think I always say everything's just a shape. The car is what a polygon, some rectangles for the lights, some little squares for the wheels. Done. There's another car here. We'll see if that makes it in or not. I want to get the base of St Pancras in, which is about there, and then there's lots of arches there under here, so let's get those in. And they don't go much further across than there. One more arch here, and there's another window. Alright, that's the centre of our image sorted. So this is where the perspective gets a bit skewy. So this is a 1-point perspective, with everything got a vanishing point in the middle here somewhere. But it's rather a tight angle to also make everything make sense. So just getting these big shapes in. Bring that down. We're going to ignore a couple of the cars and lose the bottom of these buildings there, which is great. Okay, so how are we doing? Got another side of this to make sense of. So it's a kind of curved building. Oh, I don't like that. I need to join those lines up, otherwise it just looks a bit busy. Again, the perspective is super tight, so get that curve in, and there's the top of it here. It actually has a sort of connecting area there. And there's another building coming in here. Ooh, there we go. And just to match up, so we want the bottom of these to match up, otherwise it's going to look like this road's on a huge slope. So that's fine. Okay, so from this point we can start to think how we're going to, in our limited time, make things interesting. I'm going to start with popping in some windows, and then down here we've got more and more and more windows, all on this sort of tight perspective. And then this windows will be even bigger. There's some sort of metal work going on there. and there. Actually all the way along here there's some interesting metalwork. And we got some nice traffic lights. We've got a traffic light facing us. So here I'm expanding on things I can see. Like I said at the beginning, some sort of epic level simplification going on. But getting in the details, the interest that I want. Okay, so I think that's looking all right for an almost 5-minute sketch. I'm going to move to a bigger pen now. Got a Unipin 0.5 mil pen, and let's just bring out our main subject. Just be really quick, going over these main points of interest. Okay, my bottom in. Sorry, I'm sort of focusing a bit on this because it's not the world's easiest 10-minute sketch. Very tempting to keep going with all these details, but if we do that, I think we'll never finish. I think rather than putting in details here, I'm going to just try some perspective lines, which will just show us enough information about these buildings without having to draw everything in. Okay, so colours are going to have to be loose. We've got 4 and a little bit minutes. It was a nice day when I did this, so let's get that nice day in here. Loads of water on the brush, and it's also a bit dusky, so there's a kind of setting sun feel. So that was a cobalt blue. This is a mix of Hansa yellow and raw sienna, just to wash up, and then I can continue that raw sienna into these buildings. Give us a nice graduating tone. That's actually worked out even better than I thought. This blue is reflected in all these windows, so we'll just touch it around, pop it in here for some shadow as well. The raw sienna and the cobalt blue will neutralise to some extent. They also go a little bit green, which is okay. Just worth knowing that it's not going to perfectly neutralise though. Okay, I'm going to add a bit of tone into that building, but not much. So that's just, there's a little bit of neutral tone on my brush. Neutral tint, sorry, on my brush. Okay, this is a mix of Windsor green and green gold. Quite a dry brush this time, because I don't want this to spread too far out from the trees, but I want a little bit this into the sky. Is quite nice, isn't it? Okay, so how are we doing? I'm actually going to try and get some layers in here, which might be ambitious, but I can bring this raw sienna in at each of the sort of junctions of the buildings, maybe even with a touch of neutral tint there. It's still wet, so it's going to run quite nicely, I hope. That might be a bit extreme, so we just wash it in. Problem solved. Get the, there's needs to be something on this road as well. Fill up this space here. I had a comment recently, it'd be nice to see how I use splashes, so this is a good example of how I use splashes in my sketching, which is to make a blank area more interesting, or to make a sky or water more textured, or in this tree. Just add some visual interest where perhaps it was lacking a little bit before. These touches on the wet page just give the idea of this shade between these two buildings. Now I've got a minute, which I'm sure is long enough to do this entire tower if we play our cards right. So that was Scarlet Lake, followed by quinacridone magenta. And this colour is going to pull round. Let's just get that top in. And these little red tops as well. And that's my 10 minutes up. I'm going to let that dry and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so this is our sort of 10-minute effort. Pretty much dry, yeah. And some of the layering worked quite well. Just getting that big idea of perspective in was quite effective, I think. There is so much going on in this, so that I am going to cheat a little bit again. And just, I think it's worth going over and adding a bit more colour to some of these areas. I'm not going to change things massively, but I'm just picking up some of the red and quinacridone again, and we can just bring out some more shape just by layering up colour using a small brush here, to the size 2, and we can add even more interest just by tapping. Okay, I'm going to move back to a bigger brush. Actually, that's not quite carrying enough colour for me, and let's just get this shadow in a bit more. This is, when you're spending a bit longer, you have a bit more time to look and see where little touches of tone might improve things. Some of these windows, just by layering into this car a bit, you separate it from its surroundings. Okay, and then just a last touch of pen. So we just bring forward some of these areas we've lost. Experiment with little tiny details, or suggestions of details. Could bring out some vertical lines like that, which are another way of pretending we've drawn details when we've not really even bothered to try.
Sorry.
Okay. And just do the same on this building. Some of these windows can come forward a bit if we just give them a little going over. And certainly, now this is a bit drier again, we'll just once again yank forward our clock tower. When I say bring it forward, well, yank it forward. Bold lines tend to lift something off the page towards you. So if you want something to be a feature or to appear forward in your image, making the lines bolder than in other places will do that for you. Okay, and that's done. That's my 10-minute attempt at drawing a bit of a ridiculously complex scene. I think it's alright, again quite interesting. Obviously added an extra 3 minutes of colour at the end there as well, but it does the job. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, as ever, please do like and subscribe, as it's a really huge help to my channel. And thanks for watching. Have a nice day.